What's up everybody, Grant here from Spectra Racing. We are back from the summer break, but before we get into the races this fall, I want to go over some of the changes we made to AxStang here and some of the things we're doing on the channel this fall. So over the past 3 months, I'm kind of focusing on two separate things with the car. One is kind of rounding out a lot of the rough edges with the car. It's been beat up a lot over the past 6 years of racing. And the other one is focusing on cooling. So one of the reasons I'm focusing on cooling is I noticed using some of the data setup I have on my car, it was running a little hot, especially at like wide open throttle, going 145 at Daytona National Speedway at the Optimum event, which you haven't seen that video, check the video out here. So in order to get the car to run a little bit cooler, one of the first things I wanted to try doing is installing an oil cooler. Now, being that the car has been run a lot, and in order to install the oil cooler, I was going to have to take off the bumper. Now the bumper is really screwed up. So one of the first things I did is I ordered a new bumper. Well, I didn't order a new OEM bumper. I just went on eBay and ordered a pre-painted bumper. Now, I don't know if I'd recommend this because I didn't really need it to match perfectly with the car, being that I have the American flag fenders here, and I was a little worried what I'd actually get. Now, I got kind of lucky, and this bumper is actually pretty good. It's probably about 10% thinner than the OEM one, and there were a couple holes that weren't drilled that I had to drill, and it was missing some of the inserts. I had to buy that separately from like a junkyard. But overall, it was pretty good. One of the things I did with the bumper is I added a different bottom lip spoiler, and I went back to the original OEM insert. Now I did that for a reason. I noticed, and a lot of people actually, a lot of the Time Attack guys actually recommended to me is put some like aluminum sheeting around the heat exchanger up on the front, because at speed that air can just kind of go around the heat exchanger. So instead of kind of fabbing any of that up, I can't weld aluminum or anything. I just put the stock insert back in, because you only sacrifice about an inch over the heat exchanger, and hopefully we can get some of that air going through the heat exchanger and not around it. We'll see if that makes a difference. But now getting back to the oil cooler, now that the bumper was off, I installed the oil cooler. It's a Mishimoto oil cooler. One of the problems with the oil cooler is that I had to get a separate sandwich plate, so it makes it kind of expensive. So the Mishimoto oil cooler is thermostatically controlled. It's nice because it has two little ports on the side for oil temp and oil pressure. I already had an oil pressure, so I put in an oil temp gauge. Frustratingly, if you do this, I already had a Ford Racing oil pressure gauge. Ford Racing doesn't make an oil temperature gauge, so it's different in my car, which really bugs my OCD. So I'm gonna have to toss the Ford Racing one and install this whatever no-name brand that I have for oil temp. Now with the oil cooler, I had to run the lines down and underneath the radiator. You guys probably gonna beat that up for me, but I really couldn't find anywhere better to put it besides just cutting holes in like the unibody or something. I didn't want to do that. With the oil lines going down and underneath the radiator, one of the problems I saw was that if I hit a cone or something, the oil lines could get caught on a cone and rip out the whole oil system. So I redid the splitter mounts. It's 1-inch square tubing, and I got a 24 by 24, 24 by 36 aluminum plate, and that's bolted all underneath. So it actually kind of extends the splitter a little bit more downforce, and it protects the oil lines from getting ripped out. And it still actually meets street model rules in SCCA, which state that the splitter can't extend beyond the center line of the wheels. So with that all mounted up, I'm not 100% happy with the placement actually of the oil cooler. It is not optimally placed to get some air from the front air dam, or whatever you want to call it. It is kind of a little into the bumper insert itself. I didn't really want to mount it the other way around, even though Mishimoto says that it can be mounted any direction. Just felt like the top mount made more sense. I don't know. I may try and flip that around later on if I find the oil cooler didn't really do anything. It does get pretty hot, just put my hand to the touch of it. Okay, so one of the other things I installed was a 7-blade 2013 to 2014 GT500 fan. And this fan will bolt up to any S197 Mustang. The cool thing about it, besides that it blows an extra 10 or 20% CFM, and it has an extra blade, is at speed it has these little flaps that open up. You can see them in this picture. So it creates at speed, there's less pressure of air trying to go around your fan and everything. And hopefully it should have more airflow through the radiator itself. So we'll see if that makes a difference, and I'll report back to you guys. Now with that, I also installed the 170 degree thermostat to kind of help the heat soak to take a little bit longer, obviously. Okay, so lastly, some of the things I did on the car was the rear seat delete, and just made the inside of the car look a lot nicer. For the longest time in these videos that you've seen on the channel, when I'm in the car, you just see the X brace in the back and the bare metal. That's just been kind of driving me crazy lately. I kind of want the car to just kind of come together and look a little bit nicer. And with it, just the back seat just completely empty, I don't know. It's been driving me nuts, and I just want the car to look more complete. So I just got the standard plastic back seat delete kit. This time I did put some sound deadening on the back seat delete kit, as I do have an exhaust dump, basically kind of behind the back seat almost. So it's quite loud inside the car. The car does blow 96 decibels at I think it's like 50 or 75 feet, or I think it's 50 feet, which isn't so bad, but inside the car it's quite loud. Now the installation didn't really help that much. A little bit with some drone, but inside the car it looks a lot nicer now. The car looks complete. So that's it with this build video. The way the Mustang is sitting right now, I hate to kind of dare to say it, but it's getting pretty close to done. Really just got the transmission left. And maybe a hood. I don't really know. You guys will have to let me know now in the comments below what else you recommend. With the kind of heat issues I've noticed, I'm not really too inclined to do more power, to do an E85 of return fuel system and run more power. Probably will end up doing it, but gonna try and hold off on it for now. But anyway, going into this fall, in about 3 days from making this video, we have Grid Life South of Road Atlanta. Grid Life South is just a hoot and tons of fun. 3 days of racing, partying, drifting, concerts, just tons of fun. Get the car out on Road Atlanta doing 140 plus miles an hour is just tons of fun on a historic track like that. So then about 2 or 3 weeks after that, I'm doing Track Night in America at Sebring International Raceway. That is a great event. It was only 170 bucks for an hour of track time at Sebring. Never done Sebring before, so that'll be fun. And then coming up this fall, we're going to be testing and tuning more of the GTI. Ultimately, we really want to get that car into some sort of series, whether it be WRL or Chump or something, where we can get all of us racing on one, all of us on the team racing on one track, doing a big wheel-to-wheel event. But in order, before we do that, we really want to see what's going to break on the car. We are going to upgrade the shocks and tires to make it more competitive. The shocks are a little bit sketchy right now, so we'll see how that goes. So make sure to subscribe and like, and follow us on Facebook and stuff. Thanks for watching.